Ian, every time we do one of these, I worry that is this the episode where people figure out that I don't actually know how to read, and I just look at the pictures and you tell me what's happening. Like every time I upload one, I worry like, is this the episode where I forgot to edit out, some part, and then then people find out, and that'll.
Well, I mean, it's usually, whenever I turn into a ghost, I left no stone unturned. And so as a curse, I took your eyes. So now you can suffer along with me.
God damn it, Ian. Anyway, welcome everyone to the show. See, I had this whole bit planned where I was gonna.
Sorry, I thought I was supposed to pick you up and like slam dunk you or something.
I was gonna be.
Like,
you were supposed
to
to
say
be
something dumb.
No, it was supposed to be. I was supposed to be like, yeah. Well, anyway, even if you want to hit record now, we'll just get into it. And the bit was gonna be that I forgot to cut out this part where I admit to not knowing how to read. Fuck it. Welcome everyone.
We're doing it live.
Comic Chaos. We'll do it live. Oh god, welcome everyone to Sonic Comic Chaos. I'm your host, Silver1. Joining me as always is my co-host Ian Waffles. Ian, say hi.
Hey, it's me.
Yes, and you know what, Ian? I think it's time to return to Angel Island.
Absolutely. It's been a while.
Yeah, it has. But before we do, we must of course return to our world famous segment, Ian and Ace Read Your Comments. So, starting off from Real Broccoli Hours, we have Justice for That Boy, Sleuth Doggy Dog.
He's right. Sleuth Doggy Dog is the goat. Well, he's a dog, but
I agree. Is there a goat character in Archie Sonic?
There is one in IDW. So I don't know about Archie.
Oh yeah, it's the mayor. All right, and then from Bowser Breaker 2515. Again, these are people. It's showing me people's ats now instead of like their actual screen names. I'm sorry. So hopefully these are the same or close to what your like screen name is.
Not doxing your like email or something because it's transferred over.
Oh god, yeah. They said I never liked John Gray's art because it is just way too bizarre. I like cartoony art, but this style does too much. His style is too much, and his first issue being 134 does not help. I mean, I think a lot of people probably share that sentiment. I used to, but I think looking at it more and also looking at Sonic characters being drawn off model, kind of the longer I've been in this fandom, I think I've warmed up to it a lot. I really liked. We're gonna see this whole arc drawn by John Gray, and I really liked that. I liked what he did in 134.
No, I adore John Gray because like what you get from his style is you get more detail than you do from a lot of other things because he is able to pack so much extra stuff with his cartoony style. And also you just get to experience the character's emotions just way bigger. Now that can be to a detriment, but whenever you have an action series like Sonic, to me it reminds me of One Piece, where One Piece is very, very over the top and the expressions are just huge and big and stuff. So I mean, and we know for a fact that John Gray is definitely heavily inspired by anime, as we'll see one character in this arc we're going to. So I think it's a great style, but I also as a kid I hated his style. So I do think it's just something that over time you just like. Once you've experienced, I think, more media, like your taste starts to like expand, and you're just like, oh, wait a sec, this is kind of like that thing, and this, oh, here's the appeal of it. So and who knows, maybe you just don't like it, but I definitely really love it.
Yeah, I also think the point they make about the first issue being 134 is interesting because that could be taken two ways. One of which being like it's issue 134, which is pretty universally. Again, there's a lot of good stuff in that issue, and we talked about it, but usually people just remember the breakup from it.
Well, yeah, because it's the finale.
Yes. And also, I think it could be seen as, does his, kind of cartoony over the top style work for this like serious breakup issue? And I would say yes, just because most of the stuff in that issue is not that. But I could see maybe where someone would make that point.
Well, and it'll then kind of sour you on the style going forward,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then from Shards of Time 0952. With IDW having some money problems recently and having lost the Transformers license. Wait, IDW lost the Transformers license?
I did not know this.
I did not. I should probably screen these comments before. Okay. Anyway, do you think IDW could lose the Sonic license? If so, do you think the next Sonic comic run could be more interesting and take more risks?
Well, I don't know if they're going to lose I don't know if they're going to lose it, but I feel like if they did, I don't know if Sega would care to do another comic because comics are just like not a big deal that like anymore anyway. So I do wonder if like I feel like the reason they made IDW was just because the Archie one kind of fell through so fast, and people were reading it, in real time. But I do wonder if, like, after this, it just kind of be like, is it even worth it to do like a Sonic comic? Like, do people read comics? So I don't know. I have no clue. What do you think on that?
Well, I have a multitude of thoughts. I think. Okay, so here's the thing. I'm gonna cut off your. Do you think the next Sonic comic run could be more interesting? Take more risks? No. um. Obviously, like it could, but I don't think that's an IDW problem. And also typically, as franchises go on, big mega conglomerates don't get like less restrictive with them. They tend to get more
No.
restrictive with them.
And also, they would almost certainly just carry over the same team, because why wouldn't you?
Oh yeah, of course. And then that's I don't know. As far as them doing a new comic, I think they would. I think it's just most big franchises nowadays have a comic of some kind. I don't like it, so I don't know why thinking about it, but like they do. So I think if IDW lost the license, Sonic would end up somewhere. I don't think it would be the end of Sonic comics. However, and this commenter, I don't think you're saying this, but I do know that there are people who probably feel this. Obviously, if you're over the age of 5, IDW going away is not going to bring Archie back, but also like IDW going away is not going to a better Sonic comic will not necessarily fill its place. And also like, look, I'm not the biggest fan of IDW, so you know what I don't do? I don't read it. But people do like IDW, and I'm glad it's there for them. And so I think, and again, commenter, Shards time. I know you're not saying, God, I hope this thing dies. But for the people who might be, I think it'd be better just to, push for IDW Sonic to be better rather than just hoping IDW Sonic dies. And also because again, I can only imagine the clusterfuck that would come from this one going out and another comic line starting. Because obviously, when Archie ended, Archie was this kind of non-canon. It's got Sad AM characters, it's got Adventure Sonic the Hedgehog characters. So when that got canceled and they restarted, it was like, okay, we'll just do the games. But now we're already doing the games, and also Sega has insisted multiple times that IDW is canon. So what do you do with, like, obviously those characters are wholesale owned by Sega. They've been in games, they've been mentioned in the AAA games. I don't know. I think IDW will lose the license? I don't know. I haven't really been paying too much attention to it. But as far as like, do I think it would be a good thing for them to lose the license? No, I don't.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Alrighty. Well, I think it's time, man.
Is it time? All right, let's do it.
To it. All right. So, Archie's Sonic the Hedgehog number 138, Return to Angel Island, Part 1.
Now, real quick, do we want to do Knuckles and get him out of the way? Since it's just kind of more Knuckles.
I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of doing Knuckles, but I mean, whatever floats your boat, dude.
Okay. Thanks, Dad.
No, what do you mean, though? I am genuinely confused.
Do you want to do the B stories with Knuckles and his family?
Oh, do you mean do that first?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, that kind of throws off the whole intro I just did. But, sure, if
do it live.
Sure. Okay, we'll do that then. Yeah.
What did you think? What did you think of Julie Sue's swimsuit?
My first note for this is literally Ken.
Hey, Steven drew it. He brought the man's deviant thoughts to life.
I suppose that's fair. But it's I mean, no judgment here, man.
So I don't know how you feel about this. I think we talked about it before. So I love the early parts of 25 Years Later because I just intrinsically think it is hilarious to watch Sonic characters be like, me and the wife and the kids, and I'm playing volleyball with the child, and I'm gonna dunk him, and like, and like Knuckles and Sonic are just like burping at the dinner table and being losers, and just be like, oh, I've got heartburn, man. It's like, it's just so funny to me. So I just love like all the like we're just hanging out at the house stuff because it's just ridiculous. And then you have old man Ken Penders just writing all their dialogue as them being old men, so it kind of fits weirdly with the way they talk.
yeah. I think that since more characters I care about showed up, the 25 Years Later backups have actually they're definitely a sight to behold. Don't get me wrong, but they're not as bad as they were originally.
Yeah. So I think they're really just really funny or interesting. I mean, there's really not much to talk about other than like plot wise. They're just like, oh man, there's a storm a brewing, and then.
I mean, I think there's quite a bit to talk about actually.
All right, well, you go for it.
Okay, so as Ian mentioned, this opens up with them. They're by the pool. Sonic's playing in the water with the kids, which is interesting because it brings up an interesting characterization of Knuckles in this, which is that Knuckles is the one who's scared of water. Sonic still can't swim, or at least I don't believe he can. But Knuckles also can't, and also he hates water. So that's fun. But so Sonic's playing with the kids, and he's just a fucking asshole. In this whole book, like,
his son just won't pass the ball. He's being a ball hog, and he's supposed to be a hedgehog. Okay,
I guess
you got to dunk on the children. And I love Knuckles' line. So this is what it's come to, huh? From overthrowing evil dictators to dunking helpless children. And then his son goes, helpless? Who do you think you're calling helpless? And then he just dunks him underwater. And he's like, shut up, son.
Yeah. It's like, I guess they kind of explain why Sonic's an asshole, like, later, and we'll get to that, but like it doesn't quite fit for me. But so they get out of the pool and they go to dinner, and their helper assistant lady is like, does everyone want chono with their dessert? Is that code for like wine? It seemed like what they were going for.
And they all have like chalices or whatever.
Yeah, that's what I got from it. And then Sonic and Knuckles just talk at each other for a page, and my note for that was, ugh. Because it's like, wow, you used a big word, Sonic. Oh, well, Knuckles, if you weren't such a fuckhead, maybe your wife wouldn't have to do da-da-da. And Knuckles is like, well, maybe if you were doing this. And Sonic's like, well, maybe if you helped with the Overlander uprising. It's like, oh, shut the fuck up. Yeah.
No, I absolutely love them just being bitter assholes. I think it's hilarious that they're just dumb old people.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. It's just something about this exchange in particular just really rubbed me the wrong way. I think you know what it is? I think it's because they're just taking turns saying lines that are like vaguely related to one another. Where it's like, again, it's just that we will see the fucking prime of this later. Of just like the characters saying things they would never say, so you as the audience member can get an idea of like what their characterization is and what they've been through in the 25 intermittent years.
Oh yeah, just a bunch of exposition talk, basically.
Yeah. Although Sonic has a line where Knuckles says like, "Oh, we need to explain something now. We don't have time." And Sonic goes, "Yeah, you turn into a pumpkin at midnight."
That's what I mean. I'm like, what does that mean, Ken? But it's so stupid.
What do you mean? What does that mean? Wait, do you not know what that's a reference to?
No. Why would he turn into a
Cinderella reference? What are you talking about?
Huh?
Have you ever seen Cinderella?
Does he turn into a pumpkin at night?
No, the carriage turns into a pumpkin at midnight.
Yeah, what does that have to do with Knuckles?
Because Julie Sue goes, Knuckles goes, we don't have time for pleasantries, not while the clock is ticking.
Okay. So it's just like, oh, you're a girl.
No. He's saying like, why are we in a rush? Like,
oh, okay. See, I'm not old, so I wouldn't know this, but I'm glad you can fill me in.
You're older than me. Anyway, so then the kids leave the dinner table, and I don't know if I love or hate Sonia's outfit. I'm gonna be honest. I think I like it.
She looks cool.
Yeah. Something about I don't know. Anyway, and then Manic is like, hey, baby. And Lara Sue is like, I'll kill you. So then that doesn't go anywhere.
He's like, bye, baby.
But so then there's an amazing line where Knuckles he tells Sonic like, hey, there's some storms, there's some stuff building up at the core of Mobius. It's gonna fuck some shit up. It's gonna destroy the world. And he has a line that is so fucking amazing where he goes, today I've had a number of discussions concerning the matter, and it all boils down to this: if we can solve the problem, no harm, no foul. But if we can't, that'll be all she wrote.
It's like, so if we fix it, it's good, and if we don't fix it, it's bad. Oh, who could have guessed?
Like what?
Thank you, Ken. Thanks for making the most convoluted way of saying bad thing bad, good thing good.
Exactly. I mean, that is, you know what? You're right. That's maybe the most Ken Penders thing I've ever read in my life. Now that I think about it. But so, and then there's a line that I don't know if this goes anywhere. It certainly doesn't go anywhere in the next 3 issues where Knuckles is like, if we can't save the world, we gotta like get people off of it. And then they never come back to that. So I don't know if that's like a thing. And then I'll just mention this right now while I'm looking at it. The off panel is fun because it's talking about the Tails having the spikes on his head that his modern design has. And it's like, hey, I can use it to open soda cans. I do wonder when they added that. I'd be interested to look back because obviously, like once Sonic got his modern design, everyone just kind of shifted over.
Yeah,
I don't know. Anyway, that's just the thing I noticed. So then, fuck, whatever, who cares? I was gonna say I didn't say what that story was called. It doesn't matter. So then we get into the next 25 years later story. Slumber Party. That's fun.
Yeah.
So then, my first note is I fucking hate Manic. Because this weird fucking sex game he's trying to play with everyone.
And then they're like, Mom, you want to play? And he's like, well, this isn't fun anymore.
Yeah, no, oh, God, I fucking hate this kid. And so does Sonic, I guess, but like
that's why Sonic dunks on him, man. He's always hitting on his mom. It's weird. Yeah. It reminds him of himself.
Oh God, Ian, why? But so there, nothing happens. There's sure are a lot of words for them saying very little.
I do like this. I do like this. Because again, this is just so funny. I love that the way Ken Penders thinks, like, oh, how do I have Sonic the Hedgehog relate to his son? What could he possibly do that would make his young, rambunctious, fast-paced living, if you may well say, as Ken would maybe say, how would they relate? Is it like Sonic would like run around or like do something really athletic or cool? Nah, man, the old man's good at pool, buddy. Yeah, my dad's cool. He can play pool.
I kind of liked the pool scene. I thought it was
fun. I love the pool scene. That's what I mean when I'm like, these Sonic characters are just old people in Sonic outfits, and it's amazing.
Yeah, it's fun. Also, I'm going to assume this is SBO's daughter because it looks like SBO, but a girl. Why is she here? Is SBO here?
I think they're just having like a slumber party.
All right.
So they just invited their friends.
And then the girls all go to sleep, and my my note says Sally has to fucking sleep with that crown on so we can tell her and Sonia apart.
Keep it on, woman. I can't tell you apart.
It's just like, what the fuck? Why? Like, why did you make them just Sonic and Sally but slightly smaller?
And Sonic's like crown is just like embedded in his like eyebrows. So he can't remove it anymore.
He can't. Oh God! Like at least when they did the other 25 years or 30 years later, they had the common decency to swap their eye colors. That's not good, but it's at least something.
Yeah.
Anyway, then Julie Sue's like, "I love your dad," and then it ends. That's cute. I will say, I'm really coming around on Julie Sue and Knuckles. When I first read through Archie, I mean, I always liked them, but it was always like, oh yeah, they're cool, I guess. But with what we see in the A story of this, especially, I like them. They're cute.
Yeah, I think what makes Julie Sue, I don't know how to describe it, and I'll have to figure it out whenever I work on these videos. But there's something about her where it's like her thing is like supporting Knuckles, obviously, but like she does it in a way that makes it very clear she's her own person with like her own opinions and like thoughts. So like it doesn't feel like it. Basically, she doesn't feel just like Knuckles' girlfriend. It feels like she has enough like personality in her that like even if her story is to push up Knuckles, he's the main character of this kind of arc. She doesn't feel like she's just the wife, So I don't know. Yeah, I like her too.
I think what it is a lot of times when you're looking at like relationships where like there's like in fiction where there's a guy and a girl, the guy usually especially in action stories like this, the guy assumes this like protector role over the woman. Whereas with Julie Sue and Knuckles, it very much feels like, and especially in these last couple of stories, it's almost felt like completely reversed. But generally, with Julie Sue and Knuckles, it feels like they are each other's protector. And I think that's really charming.
Oh, yeah. No, well, it also helps that she is also like hyper aggressive like he is.
Yeah, that does help.
Like, when he like if when he's like, oh, I'm not talking to my daughter, and she's like, you fucking talk to your daughter. He's like, oh, fine. But like they're not mad. They're not like yelling in a sense of like they're mad. They're yelling because that's just how they talk.
Yeah.
And that's just how they understand each other. So yeah, it's really nice.
I also love how Sonic just looks the exact same.
Yep,
Like
but he has a crown.
he has a crown. um, but all right. So then we get into the third one, a difference of opinion. And this one's fucking insane. So okay, so I don't even okay. So okay, I'm not even sure how to start this. So Sonic and Knuckles are talking, right? And then Sonic's like, "Hey Knuckles, remember when you were super awesome and you destroyed Robotnik and you saved the world?" And then Knuckles is like, "Yeah, Sonic, remember when you were a total fucking asshole after I did that and shot me in the eye?" Like, they just drop all of that on us in 2 pages.
Yeah.
3 pages. I'm sorry. Like, what? You just
Yeah.
That's lunacy.
I mean, to be fair, according to Sonic, he was like, you were going to then remake the world. And I disagree.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, is this like, I mean, it's not because it was written by a different person, but maybe this is like maybe Ian was thinking back to this when he did like the Enerjack stuff. I don't know. But like, it's just.
Absolutely. Like, because one of the things that Pender's like consistently like toyed with, but he never actually committed to, is that, oh hey, maybe Locke turning Knuckles into like a super weapon, not like that it was a bad thing. He does go around on that, but the thing he hints at is like maybe this is like dangerous and turning Knuckles into like a scary monster, and that's very clearly something that Flynn goes back to. But there's like one moment where like Knuckles uses his powers in the Knuckle comic, and Locke is like, huh, I don't know about this. And then also in the story we're going to read, where Locke is like, I don't know if I can look, and then finally, in this story, we find out that like, oh, when he used his chaos powers, it like corrupted him. And then, he was going to change the world or whatever, even though he was trying to do the right thing. So yeah, there's a lot of interesting stuff with that.
It's just a lot. It's just a lot to throw at the reader in 3 pages. Because like up until this point, because I assume this is meant to be the reason. Because they keep talking. By the way, they keep talking. There's a quote at the beginning of this story where they go, "Those two have never been the best of friends." When the A story of this comic is all Sonic and Knuckles being buddy and like fighting together.
That's because Carl Bollers actually knows how to like write them.
Yeah, but. Like throughout this entire thing, they've been like at each other's throats, and ostensibly it's because of this. It's because they had this, confrontation,
falling out, however
many years ago. But it's just like, and again, they just drop it on you and then leave. Like, is this?
Yeah,
it's just so fucking like. I was just flabbergasted when I read it. But yeah, so that's the thing. That's really here's the thing. That's the big takeaway from this is like. Knuckles and Sonic talk more about like the world's gonna end, and we find out why they don't like each other now. Is ostensibly, and Sonic's like, well, maybe because you were an asshole and tried to remake the world, maybe that's why things are fucked up. It's not, but yeah. And okie dokie, let's just skip a doodle right on to. I mean, unless you have anything else to say about that, I'll just yeah. We get into the last story scenario. Where we see, okay, so Ken is clearly fucking around when he says Kobar and Rotor were married, right? Like that was not his original intention here. There's no fucking way.
I know they have like zero romantic anything. They don't even come off as friends.
Well, there's also the fact that Kobar is 1,000,000 years old and Rotor like has a couple of wrinkles.
Well, Rotor's 1,000,000 years old in spirit.
That Ian. Like unless Butler went to Ken and he was like okay, what's this Kobar guy like? He goes like, oh, he's like an
old scientist guy.
Yeah, and then Stephen Butler was like, I gotcha, and Ken just never went back to look at the
He's
comic.
Like, oh, I'll make him Doc Brown.
Yeah, I guess. But so Sonic and Knuckles roll up on Kobar and Rotor, and apparently Kobar worked for Lee and Da, so Sonic's like, fuck this guy. And Knuckles is like, nah, he's cool. And then the girls were like, man, our men aren't around. What do we do? I don't know. Anyway, back to the men. So, okay. And then they, I don't know. They just talk a lot. They're like, oh, okay. They're like, Sonic, you've ruined everything. I hope you're happy with yourself.
I love that Knuckles is happy about that because he's like, oh, who wants to bet like Knuckles? You know, you did something wrong, and they're like, actually, Sonic, it was your fault. And then Knuckles goes, ha!
Yeah. And then okay, I haven't read Sonic number 11, but I've read the two other stories they reference here.
Yeah.
And at least the two I've read, these things weren't Sonic's fault. So
yeah, I mean, literally none of these are. So
yeah, I assume the number 11. I assume he wasn't just like, it'd be funny if I went on the Cosmic Interstate and got a bunch of Miis.
No, literally in all of these situations, Sonic is saving the world from ending. So Kobor, fuck that guy.
yeah. Then they're like,
Sonic, for doing your job, you're an asshole.
Yeah. But so then they're like, all right, well, we're to figure it out. And then Sonic and Knuckles leave. And then Leon is like, hey, what's up? And then it ends. So that's, oh my God.
What?
Ian, can you like get this issue pulled up like quickly?
Yeah.
I want you to look at the fan art page on issue 141.
Okay, let's see it. Oh yes, the Eggman one. Yeah,
what the fuck is that?
He's an eldritch horror. Yeah.
You look at him.
Good job, Brian Sandman.
Oh my God.
Yeah, well done.
But so and there's also a fun off panel where Knuckles is like, well, if I'm alive in 25 years later, that means like I'm good, and like you guys aren't gonna kill me off. And they're like, well, it might be a parallel universe. And yeah, Knuckles is like, I gotta get a life insurance. That's fun.
Yeah, which is ultimately what they go with, just that it's an alternate timeline.
So when do I'm pretty sure these off panels have like been exclusively just the Sonic cast and the Archie staff like fucking around.
Yeah, that's usually what they are until Flynn's era, where he actually makes them about the characters.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. They're fun. But alrighty. Well, that was 25 years later. Again, I would say this is probably the best collection of 25 years later stories we've had. Ian, do you agree? Or
I thought they were fun.
They are fun. Okay.
All right.
I scrolled back up in my notes, and my first note is fuck. So we're back at Sonic the Hedgehog number 138. And it's the Sally scene. You know what scene it is, Ian. You know what that note came from.
Oh yeah.
Well, stop caring. I hate you.
Yeah, this is gonna be fun. So is Sally just gonna suck until Ian Flynn takes over?
So good news. Actually bad news, but so this is the last time Bowlers writes for Sally, and or at least like writes her like for any distinct scene, because he's out after this arc. Besides one writer, like way later. But when he writes Sally in this era, she's like bitch mode. But then we have two other writers, and one of them is okay, and one of them is Ken Penders. So we have
oh no.
So when Ken writes her, he writes her to be like miserable and sad and like I don't know what to do with myself, and I'm just gonna let people walk over me. So that's how. So get prepared for that. And then Romy Chacom, the ghost, who we have literally no clue who he is. When he writes her, he just writes her the way like Flynn does.
Oh, that's good.
Like he just writes her to be like a nice, likable person and like trying to help people and like trying to put her kingdom above her own feelings and being responsible. It's like, who the heck are you?
Yeah.
Actually, you've read an issue with that because remember the issue where Sonic, Sally, and them go and save Tommy? Well, like in that issue, she's just like helping out. She's like having banter. She's like, oh, Tommy, you don't have to bow to me. How about a hug? Like she just is fine.
Yeah.
And that's because Romy wrote that one.
Interesting. Did he write all three of those? Did he write the whole Tommy Turtle trilogy?
Yes, Tommy Turtle is his character, so
that makes way more sense. Because again, this issue, it feels like this issue picks up right after Home. Like,
yeah, when instead it picks up right after them saving Tommy and her being like really amicable with Sonic and fine.
Yeah. So it's like they ostensibly break up, or they don't break up. They break up here, but she slaps him and she's like, "Well, fine, go be with Robotnik." And then it's not mentioned for 3 issues, one of which she is in, and they have consistent banter in. And then here she's like, "But we're broken up. Fuck you." So
don't defend me, Sonic. Fuck off.
Yeah, no. Also, it sucks because Sally is like adorable in John Gray's style.
I know. Yeah. Sucks.
Oh
well.
But yeah,
Worst part of the arc.
Yeah, no, it's all uphill from here though, folks.
Yeah.
And that's not me being facetious. So the king and queen they leave. And their luggage has like a bunch of fun little details on it. You got Club Rouge, you got music plant from Sonic Advance 2,
A bunch of Sonic Heroes levels.
Yeah.
A joke I really love are the two bears. There's a bear doing like the little like peace sign behind his head, and then in the next shot, that bear punches that guy, and then he does the peace sign above someone else's head.
That's fun.
And then there's also the paparazzi. There's a bunch of bears down there, and one of the paparazzi is like taking a picture, and it blinds one of the guys. He's like, "Ah, shit, I can't see."
That's fun.
So that's what I mean when I say like John Gray's like cartoony style actually adds for more detail, because he's just able to just put so many like gags and stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We'll see a bunch of that in the diner scene. But yeah, Antoine is also going with them. I don't know if that's relevant. But
it is, because it's Patch. So
well, it is Pat. Oh wait, fuck! Is this when the king gets all fucked up?
This is like when we start finding out he's getting sick later, and it's like, oh, ever since we left, I've been getting sick. So
oh shit!
Because he's poisoning the king.
Oh no! Oh no! Anyway, so they see them off. It's cute. Their plan is called the Acorn one. That's fun. So they go to Uncle Chuck's diner, and we see Hope. Hope's here.
Yeah, I love that every time John Gray draws, he just puts Hope in scenes, even when she doesn't talk. Because I'm assuming, like, I'm guessing Carl Bollers didn't write, like, put, like, Amy standing on chairs and, like, some monkey carrying around, like, the thing really excited. And another one, he's trying to, like, hold the octopus down. Put Techno from Sonic the Comic here. Like, I really love that John Gray just shoves it full of life, because then it actually feels like, oh, hey, like, all these characters actually hang out with each other, you know?
Yeah. Although SBO and Knuckles are, like, doing something.
SBO and Vector?
Yes, that's what I meant.
They're just they're hissing at each other.
Yeah, I guess. But so yeah, and so then Sonic's like, women, am I right? When he's talking to Knuckles and Julie Sue.
Yeah, and then Julie Sue is like, oh, I can understand women. And then Sonic's like, yeah, you're like a cool woman, because you like help me mock Knuckles, and it's really fun, and I like it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I will say I like all their if I said I like all their facial expressions, I could be talking about the entire arc, because they're all great. But in this scene, yeah, it's fun, because you got the bit where Knuckles is staring at Sonic, and they literally have a dotted line going towards him.
Yeah.
And then something about Julie Sue's expression when the crash onomatopoeia happens is just kind of cute. I don't know what it is.
No, yeah, she's adorable in this arc, and also just that's just a thing with John Gray's art. I think too is it does help you like the characters more, because like it just allows you to go like, oh, like, I mean, that's just a thing with character design in general. You could fall in love with a character just by their voice or the way they look, or like something about them is something that you connect to. So I think that's something John Gray really brings out of the characters, which I always love.
Oh, certainly. But so Charmy B and Saffron roll up into Uncle Chuck's diner, and they're like, hey, we got the shit kicked out of us, and they collapse. So again, we've had this discussion before. How old is Charmy?
Charmy's like 16.
Are you okay? You know what? I can't, for my own sanity, we're just gonna look on the Mobius. What is it called? Like Mobipedia or something? What's the Archie Sonic?
Maybe you just type in Charmy B age Archie Sonic pre Super Genesis Wave. Because there's like multiple Archie wikis. There's like Mobius wiki. It's like Archie wiki.
Charmy B pre Super Genesis Wave. Alignment good. Wait, size reduction?
Yeah, because originally they were like, oh, Charmy's like really tiny, right? Like he's like a bee, and then they're like, no, stupid, he's like normal size, and so he becomes normal sized, and they're like, why are you normal sized, Charmy? He's like, oh, I was in my fly mode.
Okay, so that's cool. It doesn't say. Okay, it has his age, but only for the post Genesis. Fuck it, who cares? Anyway,
he's a man.
I don't. Given what happens later, I don't like that. I feel really bad for Saffron.
Him and his wife show up, and things are fucked.
Yeah, they go to Castle Acorn, and Sally is she's sitting on the throne that has the little acorn drawn on it. And it's I assume I mean I don't know if this is meant to be if this is just John Gray being like, well, she's taking over the kingdom, so she should dress like this, or if it's meant to be a throwback to like when she used to do this back in like early Archie Sonic.
It's probably
well be
both.
both.
No, it's probably
Yeah.
both knowing him.
Yeah. And so then Charming P goes, we lost everything.
We lost everything. They all fucking died. Dr. Robotnik murdered everyone I ever knew and loved. And then they're like, oh, by the way, someone's calling. And they're like, bro, Knuckles, your he's in prison. And he's like, my dad in prison? Not without me, he's not. So so we're gonna go save him. It's
I guess
Angel Island.
Yeah, so I guess this is just so we could get Charmy here, so we could have all the Chaotix together.
Yeah, so it also does just make it more personal that it's not just going to save his dad, but it's like, oh, Eggman's really fucking things up. Like he's taken out the Honey Cove Kingdom. He's taken over Angel Island. He's got his dad. All right, let's go.
Yeah,
so it kind of makes it more like an immediate threat.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's also like, hey, Knuckles, your home's next. Like,
yeah, basically.
So yeah,
and
so
Sonic's gonna go too because he's the boy. He's our friend.
There was a point later on in this comic where like Sonic says something, and prior to that, I had legitimately forgotten he was there. Yeah,
and you know what? I actually think that's a compliment to the comic because I like that. Like Carl Bollers realizes, no, this is the Knuckles and the Chaotix story, and Sonic is just like our OP friend who helps us out.
Yeah. I forgot.
They actually even make a point of it later where it's like Sonic steals all the weapons, and then he gets like one panel, and then he's like, I'm doing this so I can soften you guys up for the Chaotix, and the Chaotix get like a whole page of them just kicking ass.
Yeah. One note I had forgotten to mention was that in the diner you see the menu. There's a lot of fun items. One of which is Drano cookies. To which I simply wrote, "You should not eat those."
That's a specialty item.
I guess
it's for Jules.
Oh no! Oh no. Anyway, so Sonic's like, I'm going, and you can't stop me, Sally. And Sally's like, go die. And so
he's like, fine, but not because you told me to.
You told me to. But so then they're on the plane, and it's fun.
Again, this is hilarious because there's a background gag going. There's two background gags going on. One is that Vector looks out the window. There's a little animal making fun of him, and then in the next panel, he's like, "Did you see that shit?" And Julie Sue is making like he's fucking crazy. And then, and then the other one is that Mighty is asleep, and he just does that thing that you're like, if you ever had to share a bed with a sibling where they just like fall on top of you, like get off. And so he's doing that to SBO, and SBO's like, get the fuck off me.
Yeah, that's fun. And Charmy, the little guy's out for blood. So that's cool.
And his wife's like, that's pretty cool. Me too.
Yeah. God, I feel so bad for her. But anyway, so then they all go down, and it's really fun. So Charmy, SBO, and Vector, they do their Sonic Heroes thing.
Yep.
Charmy carries Julie Sue. Sonic parachutes in. Mighty just jumps because
Mighty just jumps.
And Knuckles gets a special parachute with, I think, it's an emerald, but it has like a thing on it, so that's fun.
Yeah.
So they arrive, and there's a fun gag where Knuckles is like, Sonic, scout around and find something. And while he's telling him to do that, Sonic has already done it.
Yeah, it's very like Looney Tunes and silly, which I like. Again, there's just so many details on like every page.
Yeah. Okay. But so then we find out that the turntables have turned. And so now the dingoes are enslaving the echidnas.
They become literal fascist dingoes, as Knuckles says.
Yeah.
You know that. So now it's time to do it to it, and they are. We finally get the most reasonable reaction to Sonic's stupid fucking catchphrase, which is, "What are you talking about? Do what?"
You know, you do it to it.
Yeah.
You get the bit of SBO that gets memed on where his eyes just consume his face.
Yeah, I love it. But yeah, so they attack the dingoes, which with the greatest battle cry ever, which is, "You're under attack, goofball."
Yeah, that's fun. Mighty's fun here. He's very different from what I know him to be. Like later on in the comic. So they bust in. He takes the weapons. Then they fight, and there's just a lot of fun details. My favorite one is probably Julie Sue with the halo. That's just fun because it's like the last time I saw her, she was like electrocuting a dude.
Oh, yeah, she's like electrocuting someone, and then like you have Vector standing on a pile of dingoes, one of them holding a sign that says help, and he goes,
Yeah.
the challenge I ask, and then Mighty literally just flicks a guy into space.
Yeah, it's great. Where did Vector get that flag?
From his soul.
From his soul. Fair enough. Fair enough. And then at one point, SBO, he's fighting some dudes, and oh yeah, it's right here. He wraps his tongue around his neck, and that's the most terrifying thing I've ever seen. I hate that more than I've ever hated anything. And then
there's a great little moment too where Knuckles is getting the crap beat out of him because he doesn't have any of his super strength or any of his powers, and so Sonic actually saves him, and it's really cool.
Yeah.
And I also like that. Again, this is where like art really matters. The line they say is, "I could have handled those dingoes, you know," and then Sonic goes, "You're welcome." Now they could have drawn Knuckles to look like annoyed, like, "Oh fuck you, Sonic, I could have handled it," but no, the way he looks is like, I could have handled them, you know, like he's thankful, and that's where like the art is telling another story, which is really good. Like that's always what you want. You want the art to actually add to it. That I can't just like read the script and know what's going on, you know.
Yeah. Another fun detail is that Knuckles is kind of dressed like in a SA2.
Yeah, they confirmed that these are all the little things he has from that game. So.
Oh yeah, sure. It's just like they look wrong, so that was why I say kind of.
They're more like dark. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we find out that Knuckles is Jesus.
No, he's Avatar Airbender, all right, but he's the last Echidna. He's been Jesus before, okay? Don't. He's already walked on water. He's doing it. He's doing a different thing.
All right, fair enough. Yeah. So they're like, hey, there's a prophecy that you die and then you'd come back. And it's super cool. And the line is, who is this character? Remington. Yeah. Remington goes, I assume you know all these characters, Ian. I don't.
Yeah, that's fine.
But so he goes, when you came back from the afterlife in time to help defeat the menace from outer space, to which I wrote, I would be very hesitant to say Knuckles helped there.
He did actually. He saved all of them from dying. So
what?
Yeah, because the quantum dial is like, we're going to do a wave that will obliterate every single thing around us in less than a second. They're like, oh, we're fucked. And then Knuckles comes back to life and he breaks the machine so that can't happen.
I do not remember that.
And he gives Sonic the chance to destroy it once and for all. So
I just remember Knuckles showing up in a flash of light going, all right, time to go help Sonic, and then face planting.
No, him showing back up is him helping, because they show like these two rods like breaking in half, and then it's like, oh, the blast didn't go off. Okay, now Sonic can go do what he needs to do. And then he's like, oh, I'm gonna help Sonic with my powers. He's like, oh shit, that was it. That was all I had.
And so then we find out they got Knuckles' dad. We knew they had Knuckles' dad, but we see Knuckles' dad held by a guy who originally, okay, so his name is spelled Kage. Yeah. Which is how you spell the Japanese word for shadow, Kage. So I assume this was someone being a weeb. But then later on, Sonic makes a joke where he's like, "Hey, Keiji." So unless he was saying Kage, I think this is meant to be read as Cage.
Yeah, it just sounds dangerous. His name's Cage. You know,
I guess. But yeah. So then, did I mention that we see Knuckles' mom? We see Knuckles' mom. Or no, wait. We don't yet. So they're surrounded by Dark Legion guys who, by the way, look really cool.
Oh yeah, the Dark Legion are awesome.
And that's where that issue runs.
That one's good. The other thing I will say is that I think it was good on Carl Bowler's. Again, you wouldn't know about this, but in the Knuckles comic, there was a Dingo character named Striker. And his whole deal was that he was very like pro Dingo having rights, you know, like they didn't have houses. And he was really trying to like get the Echidnas to give them like support and stuff like that. And then when they didn't, he would like set up riots, and like he was really trying to like help the Dingoes out. Now he hated the Echidnas because of how shitty they were, but he was still willing to like work with Knuckles and do all these other things, work with certain other Echidnas. So whenever they end up having the Dingoes selling out the Echidnas and becoming fascists, Carl Bowler's made sure it wasn't that guy. And so he made a new Dingo guy to be in charge, which I appreciate, because then Flynn actually builds off that and makes it that this guy is actually that general's son who betrayed the Dingoes. So now like the Dingoes aren't just like, oh, they're just all Nazis now. Now it's like, no, they're literally stuck on this tiny island and they were sold out to Hitler. So,
Yeah.
you know, so it kind of it was a good thing for him to do that, to make sure the Dingoes aren't completely evil and irredeemable, but also to still like have some sort of connective tissue, which I always really appreciate. So again, that's something you wouldn't know about because you haven't read the Knuckles comic, but it's just it's another detail of this arc that I really like. So
Yeah, that's cool. But so then we move on to Sonic the Hedgehog number 139, Return to Angel Island, part 2 of 4. And holy shit, this opening page is awesome.
yeah, the fight scene here, wow.
It's so good, dude.
Yeah.
Like, we get, like I said, this opening page, which just has so much going on, but like in a good way. Like, and then you got Sonic with a flaming sword.
Yeah, he gets a flaming sword, and part of his routine, like he jumps off a bunch of rocks or whatever, and at one point he just like stands there to flex, and then he keeps going.
Yeah. And then we have SBO doing something.
I think he's just running fast.
I would say so, but it looks like he's disconnected I thought maybe he was like doing some weird ninja illusion shit. It doesn't matter. It looks cool regardless of what it is. Yeah. So then Knuckles' mother shows up. What's her name again? Yeah. Oh yeah, I was gonna ask this. Is this a thing like in Echidna society where all the women have? Okay.
They're all Kryptonians. So
Fair enough.
And then all the men are like, my name is Locke. My name is Knuckles.
Yeah. Well, we'll see.
My name is Steppenwolf.
Yeah. Well, we'll see a particular name later on.
This is such a tiny detail, but it's hilarious that it is consistent, which is that Ray just decides to strip for no reason, and he doesn't have his jacket for the rest of the arc.
I thought it was meant to be a diversion.
I don't know, because he just says, sorry, SPO, this is fun, and then he just takes off his clothes. And he never puts it back on. That is consistent for the rest of the arc. He does not have that jacket.
Is it meant to be like a coward?
Huh?
Is that a later thing? Ray, he's always like stuttering when he talks. Is that like a later thing?
No, that was a thing in Ken's run. I just don't know if I don't know if Carl forgot to carry that over. Although I don't think Ray talks too much in this whole arc, so we'll just have to see. But yeah, that was the thing from the beginning that he had a stutter. Yeah,
then the mom shows up and it's cute. They hug. And Knuckles is like, "What are you doing with these cloaked figures, Mom?" And she's like, "Don't worry about it." And so then they go back to the hidden palace zone where we see the most evil man to have ever eviled.
He's like, "I am your friend."
Yeah, dude, it's like, look at this guy. Like every word he says, every action he takes, you would swear. I think instead of drinking like a cup of coffee every morning, he like kicks a puppy or something. Like,
call me Dr. Evil. Like that's basically what he should say.
like look at him.
Real quick, this is an amazing joke, which is someone says the Avatar walks among us S3K 10/18/94. So it's like a like John 3:16 type poster.
Oh,
but it's
my
just
God.
It's when Sonic 3 and Knuckles released.
That's amazing.
And then this is why John Gray is like the best, because later when all the echidnas get fucked over, that sign is burning on the ground, like Jesus didn't save us.
Oh my God,
the Avatar didn't save us.
Oh no. Oh God, that's amazing. All right.
And they go to the lair of evil.
They go to the evil lair of evil. Where John,
he knows.
I gave Ken and Steven some grief before. Now it's your turn. You know what you're doing here with.
Okay. So interesting to note, he's definitely a boob man because he gives her no hips. So
yeah, fair enough.
I love the like snake thing on her arm. That looks rad.
That is cool.
I don't think she has that going for her, but it's awesome. She's got her whip, obviously, and it has a mind of its own because it's wrapping around her for no reason.
This looks cool.
Yeah, she looks awesome. Yeah, I love Leanda. I love Leanda because she is just peak bitch. I love her.
Yes.
She is just evil. She just wants power. She just loves mulling it over everybody. And even like having not read any of the stuff before, because I mean, she doesn't have much of a personality before. But the one thing we did know about her before was that she wanted to take over the Legion. But you get that just from like her expressions and the way she acts, and how much she just loves being in charge. And like, ooh, Knuckles, a little baby duckling boy. He can't do nothing. That little baby.
Also, just in case Leanda forgets what organization she works for, on her computer there's a big red button that says DL. So that's fun.
Just in case.
Yeah. But so yeah, they're going and they're like, we need the Master Emerald, and they're like, don't worry, we got the Master Emerald. So they go to the Emerald Altar, and you can tell it's the Emerald Altar because they have a sign with an arrow that says Emerald Altar.
It says Emerald Altar.
You
know, in case someone breaks in and wants to steal it, you got to help them out in case they get lost.
I also just now noticed in this panel, Sonic and Knuckles are touching noses. That's cute.
Where at? Let's see.
It's the one that has the Emerald Altar sign on it.
Oh, yeah,
that's cute.
They're like, who? Huh?
Yeah, but so then we see the mural from Sonic 3 and Knuckles, and
yeah,
it's interesting how what I assumed was going to happen. I thought that the twist was going to be because Archie Sonic. No, that mural doesn't have anything to do with you, Sonic. That's Knuckles fighting.
That's
Eggman.
Knuckles. Yeah, and the comic was just gonna be like, "Fuck you, Sonic." That's actually me. Yeah, that would have been really funny.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. But no, they're just like, oh man, that looks like me, and they're like, yeah, it does look like you, but it was fuck you. Anyway, moving on.
It's my comic. I mean, it's your comic, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. So then we get to the Master Emerald, and they're like, Knuckles is like, hey, wait, Leanda, why are you in charge of the Dark Legion? Where's Dimitri? And she's like, Dimitri's dead. And Knuckles does not take this well.
Well, that's because of what we find out later. So.
I know, but when I first saw this, I was like, man, Knuckles.
He's like, no, my Nazi uncle, fuck.
I was like, Knuckles is really affected by this.
I loved that, man. I mean, to be fair, he literally died for that guy for no reason, but you know. It's one of the dumbest plot points ever. Fucking Mammoth Mogul. Anyway.
But yeah, so then they go back and they're by a campfire, and Knuckles is like, man, I'm back from the dead, but I suck. Like, I can't even glide anymore. It's bullshit. Yeah. And then there's a cute panel of Julie Sue giving him a little kiss on the head. There's a heart. It is fucking adorable.
Yeah, I love that. I also love like Mighty just being like, hey, I don't know why we're sitting here like talking when we could be killing. And he's like, yeah, I agree. And then Dr. Evil comes back and he's like, hey, want to see something really funny? Blind child.
It's a fucking evil, dude. The part I really like is there's a part where Julie Sue goes, I have faith in you, Knuckles. And Mighty goes, I don't. I know that's not what he says, but that's what when I first saw it, I was like, jeez.
Knuckles, you suck. Why are we here?
But so then we have an Echidna with a mustache, because that's a thing. They bring their blind child.
We get an actual really, really sad scene.
Yeah. Because Knuckles is Jesus. They bring their blind child to see him. And he's like, man, buddy, you should have taken the Dark Legion up on their Robot Eyes offer. I can't do shit for that.
Yeah.
And we never see this family again. So presumably this child is just blind forever.
Well, I mean, maybe they were like, oh, you know, he said to go do that. So maybe they, well, to be fair, the child probably died. So,
oh god,
I mean, think of what happens later. So.
Oh yeah, you know, and then, well, again, Knuckles doesn't exactly go, yeah, you should listen to the Dark Legion. Knuckles says nothing, and then Finitavis is like, fuck you.
Yeah, he's like, you don't believe in technology? You're a fucking loser. Here's the thing, like, again, because so Carl Bowler's invented Finitavis, but like obviously Flynn entirely decided his trajectory because Finitavis never appears again after this until Flynn. So I do genuinely want to know what he's going to do with him, if anything. Because yeah,
I hope he was just gonna do this, just like
he actually dies at the end, like they claim.
Oh no! I mean, like, I want him to just stand around and like not do anything explicitly evil, but still just be like the most evil person you've ever seen in your life.
Yeah, but he's actually not a bad guy. He's just like, man, I'm an atheist, and everyone gets mad at me because I want to put robot eyes in little kids, you know?
But so Vector and Julie Sue fight over Knuckles because they're both in love with him.
True. I do like the insult suitcase face.
Yeah, it's good. Although that has some dark implications when you think about it.
Chili dogs.
Right. And then Sonic, when Sonic finally speaks up, he talks to the family. My note, like I said, is Sonic, why are you here?
He's an emotional support.
Is he?
Yeah,
I guess.
He saves Knuckles a lot. It helps him out a lot.
I guess. But so then we meet Kneecaps.
We meet Kneecaps, the goat. He's here.
Yeah, you guys remember Kneecaps from 25 years later?
We get his origin story. He was birthed from Knuckles' mom. Who would have thunk?
Yeah. But so my question is, who incepted who on that? Like,
no, it's so that one guy who keeps following Knuckles around and like being like, oh, Avatar. Besides like Remington, like the other guy, that's Knuckles' stepdad, Wimiker.
Yeah, I knew that.
Yeah, so I mean, it's his kid.
No. I knew. No, I said incepted, not impregnated. Ian.
Oh, sorry.
I meant like, did Ken Penders put Kneecaps in 25 years later, and Bowlers was like, oh, I'll put Kneecaps here, or did he Penders know that they were going to introduce Knuckles' baby brother and was like, oh, I'll put them in 25 years later?
I can only assume, based on the fact that Ken Penders openly states he does not read other people's stuff, that it had to be Bowlers was just like, oh, okay, cool. Like, there's this character. I'll introduce him.
Yeah. But so I mean, Kneecaps, he's fun. Well, his name is Kneecapion Mace.
Kneecapion Mace.
We call him Kneecaps for short,
which is great.
Yeah, it's adorable. Because like everyone's like, so Knuckles like, man, that name sucks. And then everyone else is like, yeah, that name sucks. And Knuckles like, what the fuck did you say about
What'd
my
you
brother?
say?
Like, who's this other little creature, by the way? With Charmy and Saffron.
That's just a doll that like Saffron brings around, but I like that the joke seems to be that like she's surprised it's laughing, like it's a sentient doll.
Oh yeah,
because she just carries it around everywhere in this arc, and I don't know what it is. I mean, I know what it is. It's a Nightlantean from Nights into Dreams.
I see.
So like she just has that, I guess, as a doll, but it's very funny.
Yeah, but so Kneecaps, there's an adorable panel of him just gnawing on one of Knuckles' dreads.
I also love whenever they say his name, the baby thinks of Ugly Baby Names book, and he's like, fuck my name, I hate it.
Yeah. So they're all talking later, and there's a scene where Sonic is talking to Julie Sue, and she goes, Knuckles is complex, Sonic. Who let Ken hijack the typewriter? Knuckles is like, man, I fucking suck. They all want me to be Jesus, and I can't be Jesus. Like,
yeah. No, I feel. I mean, all joking aside, I feel really bad for Knuckles in this arc. I think it's really cool the things that Bowlers does for him, where it's this idea of like Knuckles' whole character is that he was literally made to be like this hero who was going to save the world, and now like they've attached another prophecy onto him, and he can't fulfill anything for his people to like help them, even though they all believe in him. So it's like this really tragic thing for Knuckles, where like he just has all that. Like Sonic is the hero, Mobius obviously, but he's just like a dude, you know. Knuckles has like way more riding on his character, and unlike Pender's stuff where he would usually just have Knuckles go, what's going on, I don't understand, Bowlers actually uses that to explore like how would Knuckles feel about the fact that he can't do anything, you know, and what's he gonna do with that power when he gets it back. So it's really cool.
No, I agree. I just
and also his anger at himself, because where before he came back to life to save everyone, now he wonders like, was that even the right choice in the first place? Was I just doing it out of my own sense of ego, you know, and wanting to be a hero? So it's really cool.
No, it is good. I'm trying to make this funny, Ian. But so the Mighty goes like, yeah, it's gotta be weird. I mean, the exact quote is, yeah, it's gotta be weird dying, coming back to life, and having everyone act differently because of it. And Sonic goes, you mean like how Sally's been acting towards me, Mighty?
And Mighty says nothing because he's like, I wasn't fucking talking to you.
Yeah. And then I wrote in my notes, oh my god, this Sally thing is gonna be insufferable, isn't it? Like, oh god. But so anyway, then we cut to the fucking evil ass lair of Benevis and Leonda. By the way, are they banging? Why is he there?
He's just like, I like your theory that in Carl Bolish's head he's not even evil, he's just an asshole. So I like the idea that he's just hanging out because he's just like, if Knuckles shows up, I want to like talk shit.
Fair enough. But so then Knuckles goes to the Master Emerald, and we get a scene I really like. And I really like this idea of like, literally everyone is telling me I am the chosen one and I'm supposed to save everyone, and I am the weakest I've ever been. Like, and I just think that's really cool. So, and then, then we have his ant friend looking sinister as fuck.
Yeah, I have no clue why John Gray was like, yes, let's draw Archimedes to look evil. Because he's like, he's not evil. So
yeah. Real quick, do you read Archimedes with Jiminy Cricket's voice too?
No, but that's funny.
What voice do you read him with?
Well, because they give him like an Australian accent in like the Flynn era, and that's what I read first. So like he says like mate or whatever. So I'm just like, I just read him with that. Excellent. Everything's going just as I predicted.
Yeah, no, I read him full on Jiminy Cricket. Yeah. What were you gonna say before I cut you off?
I was gonna say I do like the that it kind of ends on the like he says all this, and then he's just like, they must be. And you don't really get to hear what his thoughts are, but I'm guessing it's just like they must be like so disappointed, because he says like, I'm supposed to be someone special.
Yeah. And so then we get to New Megapolis, and then they're talking. Robotnik is talking to Cage, and he's like, "You suck. I'm sending a guy."
I know a guy.
Yeah, well, and we will see that guy later.
Did you notice the like really weird like body that's like getting like juices pumped into it while like an animal gets its life drained out of its soul?
I didn't until you mentioned it, but is that Metal Snively?
Yeah, that's Metal Snively.
What the fuck?
It says because it says Snively Processing Lab.
That's terrifying.
Yeah. And again, this is where like Flynn is like a genius, because later there's a part where he removes Mecha. He's like, all right, no more robot henchmen, delete the Mecha Snively program. And it just says this issue. And I'm just like, Flynn noticed that like random background detail. He's like, yep, got to make sure that gets cleaned up.
Yeah, he's a mad lad, dude. But then we cut back to the Hidden Palace, and then I wrote, "Oh, that's awesome," but I just needed to scroll down one more. This page of Sonic like jumping all around and on everyone's like floaty thingies is awesome.
I think that's one of the coolest pages in like just the whole comic, because the build up to it's great too. Where like they're like, oh, we're gonna go free lock, we're gonna team up, and then you actually get this. Yeah, you get this really great moment where Sonic is like, not for nothing, but as far as getting to the Dingo City goes, it's no problem for yours truly with my super speed and all, but how are the rest of you going to get there? And we just get a single page of Sonic jumping around on like every single flying saucer that the Dark Legion has, because this is one of like their vehicles. And then in each one of them, he's doing like some sick pose or doing a joke or having like a funny little goofy gag. All the characters are reacting to him, and he's like, you just see him all over the place, and then he's running towards the screen. He goes, I had to ask. And it's just like, you can just like hear them, like if this was like a TV show, like the music swelling, like da da da, like I had to ask. It's just so good.
And SBO is like, fuck.
Yeah, SBO gets his one fuck. So and I like that. And again, I like that Knuckles isn't actually really like annoyed at Sonic. He's just like, this guy.
Yeah. Well, it's not 25 years later yet. He hasn't shot his eye out. So they got locked.
It says death and pestilence to all echidnas.
Oh God. Yeah.
And then there's a sign that says the slave pits.
Oh no, that's not good.
I'm glad Enerjack destroyed this place.
Yeah, that's probably for the best. Yep. But so they got Cage up there. Not Cage. They have Lock up there. He's not locked in a cage though. Don't get it confused. And so then the Cage is like, Robotnik, he's not telling us where the Master Emerald is. And then Robotnik's like, then fucking kill him. I don't have time for this. And he's like, all right, I guess I'll kill him. Then Sonic shows up, and then everyone shows up. It's really cool.
Yeah, I also we get the return of Harry, again a character you wouldn't know, but Harry was like our resident like dingo character in the Knuckles comic. Like he was one of the good ones. The way that's the way the comic treats him, and it's really funny. So I love that Carl Bowlers gives him like this role of like, and again it humanizes the dingoes more because it's like, oh man, if even Harry has to like work for these people, like, oh shit, so like Harry is like, he's literally his only job is just to like give food to Locke or whatever, and he's still getting like destroyed. But I just like that he's here. I like that we remember him. Okay, I'm gonna tell you this now because it's gonna be like a million years until we get to it. But so the reason I say like Harry is like he's like the resident dingo character or whatever. He's the token dingo.
God, Ian.
No. This is a real thing. Like as the way the story progresses and like the way they treat it, it's really cool. So the dingoes were portrayed as Black Lives Matter movement in the Nazi arc. And they literally have like Dingo Lives Matter and like dingoes deserve rights, and like they're literally living in, they say like the boonies, basically like the slums. And so like they're trying to like portray like this movement or whatever. That's what Ken was going for. But the way he treats Harry the dingo is like he is the designated, oh, he's one of the good dingoes. Like that's how he's treated. Is like, oh, he's our dingo friend. And so the way the story goes, he's even in this story, he's like around and he's our good dingo or whatever, quote. But if you notice at the end, they just kind of leave him. Like, they still take, like, they take him with like the Dark Legion and stuff, but like Mighty, Knuckles, and them, they just like leave. Like they don't take Harry, like he's supposed to be their friend. They don't take him like home with them. They just leave him with the Echidnas who hate dingoes. So,
oh dear.
What we find out later in the Flynn era is that Harry, like, he was just kind of left alone, and when the dingoes found him, they were like, "You're a fucking traitor," and they took it out of him. They scarred him and they like mutilated him. And so when he comes back into the story, he actually gets like a very like good send off where he's like, hey, like Knuckles, all of you guys, because what happens is he's taking Knuckles and crew to this location, and he's just like the guy who's supposed to drive them. And Mighty notices. He's like, "Oh, you're Harry. Don't think I didn't notice." And he's like, "Oh, you didn't notice, huh?" And so he mentions how he's like, I kind of liked just being like a cab driver, but you guys kept dragging me into all your shit. And whenever I stuck my neck out for you during the Return to Angel Island arc, you guys left me behind. And when I was found out for that, they didn't like that too much. So I'm done with your shit. I'm done hanging out with you people and you not treating me well. The new general of the Dingoes, he sees me as a war hero. He treats me well, and that I'm sticking with him for now. And they're like, I'm so sorry, Harry. Like, we're sorry. We didn't mean to treat you like that. And he's like, no, I'm not angry. I'm just done with cleaning up your messes. Leave me alone. And that's the end of his story. So like the comic wraps back around and kind of gives him like some dignity and like has him be like, no, I am done being the token dingo character. Leave me out of your bullshit. And they don't get to like feel good about it. Like that, like Mighty leaves being like, man, like we really like fucked over Harry.
Yeah.
And it's really cool. So it's a genuinely like interesting story with this character. And I just want to put that here because it's going to be forever when we get back to him. And if he ever appears again, you'll be like, who the fuck is this guy?
Well, yeah. Man,
the Archie comics are insane.
yeah, that's wild. I do like the panel though. I mean, yes, Harry is a very complex character who gets a very good send off. But here he's kind of a butt monkey, and Sonic is like, "Hey, I'm gonna punch you," and he's like, "Oh, don't punch me." I like this panel of Sonic like holding him up. It feels very much like something I'd see in a Spider-Man comic with him being like, "You better tell me what I want to know."
Oh yeah, and again, I'm not saying like Sonic's being a racist here. Like, no,
I know.
It's by the Dingoes. It's cartoony, but it's just cool where it goes. But yeah, then we get this one of my favorite moments of it where Cage, he's like, I'm gonna fucking kill all of you and rip you limb from limb, and then we just cut to Sonic and Knuckles looking at each other like, nah. And then the next panel is just him getting chucked against a wall, and they're like, that was fun.
Yeah. Yep. Doctor Strange shows up. Ian, who is this?
Okay, so this is Hunter, and he was the final villain of the Knuckles comic where they wanted to do a Goodwill Hunting reference. I think that's what that's called, where it's like the guy who's like he traps people on his island, and then he's like, I want you to run away, and then I'll try to hunt you down and kill you. And it's like, oh, if you can kill me, then you're the true hunter, that kind of thing. So this guy's literally just named Hunter. And his whole deal was he wanted to capture Knuckles, and they defeated him, and then they locked him up in the base. So apparently within the time skip, Eggman found this guy, gave him like a little death collar, and he's like, hey, I know you like hunting and killing. Want to do that for me, buddy? Not like you have a choice, but go do it. And so he's like, fuck yeah, I get to kill a bunch of echidnas. So that's what he's doing.
Woof.
And he looks like a DBZ character.
Yeah, a little bit. But yeah, all right. So Sonic the Hedgehog number 141, Return to Angel Island, part 4 of 4.
It's time.
It's time. I don't have a lot of notes for this, mostly because I was just kind of reading it. There's not a lot to take note of, though.
No, it's just the final action climax.
Yeah, it's fun though. So we get Mr. Hunter Man. He's killing some guys. They go to the Master Emerald.
Yeah, because he's gonna go get the Master Emerald, so they need to go stop him.
Yeah, and then Finitevis. Am I saying that wrong? Finitevis. Who cares?
I think it's as long as you get the Inity in his name, then you're good.
Yeah, but so then they're all fighting. It's just a big fight scene now. All the characters throw their bodies against him and get beaten up. Julie and one actually very interesting scene that you would know more about than I would, because I don't know about the Echidna history, is Julie, Sue, and Leonda, thank you. I almost called her Laura. That was not right. Yelling at each other. And she's like, why do you suck? And she goes, because Dad liked you more. I guess that's a thing.
So, yeah, I mean, they're half siblings. But Leonda's whole character is basically just, again, she just wants power. She's evil. But the whole thing with, like, what I like here, like, this is where, like, Julie Sue shines. Because, again, she's just being an alpha bitch to everybody. And Julie Sue's like, all right, Leonda, if you want to be in charge so bad, quit whining and actually, like, do anything, then whine and be, like, annoying. And Leonda, like, she has this great moment where she's just like, or, Julie Sue's just like, stop complaining, Leonda. If you're going to be the real leader, grow up and start acting like one. And then she leaves. And then she goes, I just never understand what her problem is. And then she goes, Father loved you more. So you get this, like what I like about it is it actually humanizes Leonda in a sense of like the reason she's like this is that, like, it kind of sums up her character in a nutshell, which is just, she is just massively insecure and hateful.
Yeah.
So you get this, and I mean, the drawing for it's just wonderful, where it's like, instead of coloring her in with, like, red, and then, like, the outline being black, she is actually colored. She is outlined with red and colored in with black. So
yeah, it's really cool.
It's really cool. And also, this is just a minor thing that is consistent from pretty much here on out. But I really do like that, because Julie Sue and Vector don't like each other, mostly because Vector got really mad that she punched him one time and never let it go. And Julie Sue doesn't like Vector because he's just a big bumbling asshole. But I do like that they consistently show that they are actually friends, because I do like that once Julie Sue's getting upset, Vector is the one to come around and be like, hey, we want to step away and, kind of figure this out. And then she's like, yeah, totally, Vector. So I do like they consistently show, like, as much as they like to get on each other's case, they are actually friends, which I like.
Yeah.
I
agree. But yeah,
and then we get to Kino. Tell me what happens next.
Well, so Sonic's like, Knuckles and I are gonna fight you, Dr. Strange, and he's like, no, you're not. And so he throws a ball at him, and Sonic's very preoccupied with that.
I do think this is very funny because he sends after them. He sends one of those bumpers from the game, which Sonic, can't break. And so I do love that it's just bumpering him around like in a video game. Like, shit, I can't get anywhere.
yeah, it's fun. And so Knuckles, he gets knocked down, but then wait,
oh baby,
what is this? It's Super Knuckles.
Yeah, Super Knuckles appears, and it's like the coolest thing ever.
Well, the transformation is dope as fuck with, like, the energy going all around his body. I'm not a big fan of the facial expression they give him when he's like fully transformed.
Yeah, well, because the idea is he's supposed to look scary. Like,
yeah,
it's not supposed to be like, because again, Locke is like, he's like, Archimedes, you were right. I cannot bear to look, because it's supposed to be the idea of like, oh, with all this power like that we gave him, he's like become like a monster.
Yeah.
But he's still obviously using it for good, but it just kind of, it's a little sneak peek, not intentionally, obviously, but it's a sneak peek later as to like what all that energy will do to him. But I really love that it's about time.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't even talking about that facial expression. I was talking about the full page.
Oh, I know.
He's like,
yeah. And he just murders Hunter.
Yeah, he sure does. He just goes, he just obliterates this man, this guy.
Yeah.
Then yeah, it's funny. He catches the spear, and like this shot's awesome of him catching spear. He's like, no, Super Knuckles.
Yeah, they go, Knuckles? No, Super Knuckles. And
Yeah.
I also love that instead of coloring him in with the pink, it's almost like space inside of him. Like
Yeah,
it's so cool.
Yeah, and so he just fucks the shit up, and he throws this guy. Does this guy ever come back?
No, he's dead. Like when I said he died, he legitimately drowned.
Oh my god!
Knuckles,
Knuckles kills him.
Yeah, Knuckles killed this man.
Oh, that's awesome. But
because later Eggman he says like Hunter couldn't even survive a drop in the drink. Like this is stupid. So yeah, he drowned.
Yeah, but so now he beats them, and the dingoes all go running away, and they go Avatar.
Yeah. So he scares all the dingoes off.
And so Knuckles' chaos powers are back.
Yep.
And they're like, yeah, actually, you always had him, dummy. You just needed to believe in yourself or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then they're all leaving, and Knuckles' dad is like, wait, but stay here, you fuckhead. And he's like, nah, I'm leaving. And so they leave.
Yeah, and I like his reasoning too, because this is what it feels like where they gave Knuckles an arc, where it's like he came here to save the day, but then he's going back because he's like, I realized like if I just stay here, and fight, then the rest of Mobius is still screwed over, and the main problem is Eggman. So like I can't just be a guardian and just watch over Angel Island, which is his job. That's the whole point. And so this is where we actually establish the kind of the falling out between him and his dad, where his dad is like, you're just going to abandon your duties. You're just going to leave your homeland to like suffer. Where he's like, no, I'm trying to help everyone. And then that creates a rift between them. So yeah, Knuckles makes a choice. He's going to protect the world.
Oh, yes. I also forgot some characters died, I think. Does Remington die? Who dies? Someone died.
Well, they imply that because what Hunter's doing is he's teleporting them to the egg grapes. So, yes. they're probably dead. Remington comes back because he gets saved, and then they say that Finidivus got captured, but obviously Finidivus is Finidivus. He didn't actually get captured. So so they never confirmed this, but this is like a really cool retroactive detail. So if you've noticed, what they've all been like going through as portals are the warp rings. Mm-hmm. And what Finidivus, his power is that he made these like warp ring things. But if you notice, both the Echidnas and Eggman use them. And we find out later that Finidivus was actually like supporting Eggman for other things. So I actually genuinely think he gave these warp rings to Eggman, and that's why like they're escaping through that. And then he gave them to the Dark Legion to basically like stoke their war.
Oh, that's fun.
Now, this is never never confirmed, but like all the pieces are there because again, these warp rings are literally only ever used by him going forward. And then we also find out later he was working with Eggman. So I think it is very safe to assume that he was actually supplying them with warp rings. Probably not like perfect ones like he has, but yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, it is cool. But yeah, so then they part ways. I'm trying to, and then we see the egg grapes, which I did not expect those to come up so soon.
They are terrifying.
They're terrifying. And I mean, Remington's in one of those.
Yeah.
So, and his energy drain is at 72%. So, I mean,
some of these people are at 99. So, like, these people died.
yeah. That's some fucked up shit. But yeah, and that is Return to Angel Island.
Yeah. What did you think of it?
It's really good. It's really fun. There's, there were some things we mentioned, mostly just the beginning with Sally, but everything else, like from start to finish, this was a delight. Like I don't really have too many complaints.
I guess I would ask, like, even as someone who didn't know too much about the Knuckles comic, were you still able to like be engaged with kind of like the emotional material of like Knuckles and fearing like his powers and all that stuff?
Yes. However, I still think I'm probably more familiar with the Knuckles comic than a lot of people. So I don't know if I'm necessarily the best person to gauge that off of. But yeah, having not like having not read it personally. I got the gist of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, but that's that. What's good arc. I enjoyed it. This is probably I was gonna say this is probably the best preboot thing we've done thus far. That's not saying much though.
Yeah, we haven't read much. I mean, just to throw it out there, it's definitely going to be, unless you have a surprise love for Ash the Mongoose.
Oh. So what's next on the docket then? I will say, for some transparency, audience, we're recording this, and then we're planning to record a Sonic Prime review next week when that comes out. You will be hearing this long after Sonic Prime comes out. And then I'm going to be off on a business trip for a couple weeks, so there won't be any recording then. So I don't know when we're recording again. I also don't know what we're recording. It's because it looks like, just based on what it says here, that the next thing is part 1 of 2. So do we get like 2? If we get 2-parters back to back, we could just do those both.
Oh yeah, we could just do 4. We could just do 4 issues. Yeah,
that would be fine. Well, is that what it is? Is it 2-parters back to back?
Oh, let's see.
So it's the original Freedom Fighters, part 1 of 2.
Yeah, and then 144 is the end of the future arc, and then 145 is the start of a new arc, but it's like the prologue. So yeah, we could read the next 4 issues.
All right. Well, that'll be the thing. So come back for the original Freedom Fighters, I guess. I don't know. I feel like we're gonna have a lot of episodes that I'm gonna have a hard time titling. Before we get into when they started consistently doing like the 4-part story arcs. But until next time, I'm the Silver Ace 1. You can find me here. You can find me on Twitter until it implodes at the Silver Ace 1. Ian, do your things.
I'm Ian Waffles. You can find me Ian Waffles on YouTube, where I've made one Archie Sonic video that I'm really proud of, and then also if you watch the channel Low Art, you can find more Archie Sonic content that I've helped co-produce. So yeah, if you're just more interested in more Archie Sonic content, you can go there. But thanks for having me as usual, the Silver Ace.
Thank you. And until next time, take care, everyone.
Peace.